Hey, welcome to Growing Together. You're here, I'm here, we've got our Bibles. Let's dig into God's Word and discuss this together. It's time to grow in God's Word. Now, I hope you were able to be part of last week's message. Sunday was our anniversary Sunday, and we were looking back at what God did through moments of faith, God using people like Pastor and Mrs. Dinoff to step out on faith and do great things. Now, we tied that into a Bible study of a great man of God that God used to change a nation. His name was David. We know the story of David and Goliath, what God used him to do that was amazing. But if you were to talk to David and ask him what changed the nation, what was that moment of shift to be able to rescue them from this oppression that they were facing from the Philistines, David would not say that it was when he threw the stone. David would say when it was God's moment of faith in his life to step out and obey God. Now I want you to do this. I want you to discuss in your group right now, what is faith? What is faith to you? What does faith mean? So right now, take a minute and discuss what is faith. To help us better understand faith, God has filled the entire Bible, filled with illustrations and stories. We love to sit around and talk about them. I used the illustration on Sunday about David facing Goliath. But I guarantee you, there's stories that connect with you better than they connect with other people. So right now in your group, I want you to do this. I want you to go around your circle or go around the room right now and have everyone share what is your favorite story in the Bible of somebody demonstrating their faith. But as you discuss this, do this. Point out in the middle of it, was it comfortable? Was it something that was comfortable that they were going through? And also, did they have it all figured out? So let's take a minute and discuss that right now. So I've been using this illustration of David, but you ask why. I think it's because it was such a transitional moment in history, not only for David in his personal life, but for the children of Israel. But I have to ask you the question, why? Why did that moment of him standing in the sidelines make such a difference for him? What was the significant thing that happened in that moment? I think we can understand when we read James chapter 2, verses 17 through 20. So I want you to do that right now in your group. Okay, now that you're done reading, let me point out a couple of things, and I hope you had time to discuss this in your group as well. One of the things is the Bible talks about that even the demons have faith. They have an understanding that God exists, who God is, and that God is real. But it's not enough. It's not enough just to believe these things. It's a matter of living out these things. In the last verse, in verse 20, he explained and said, "O vain man." The word vain there means empty. Meaning just because you know these things but you don't live them out, you live an empty life. See, David didn't live an empty life. He lived a very fulfilled life of experiencing the greatness of God and greater things in his life for him and his nation because he took what he knew and he lived it out. That is what faith is. And that's what God's calling us to do as a church, as Christians, as people, as kids, as adults. Take what you're learning and live it out. Don't just have it in your heart and mind, but demonstrate it in your life. So here's what I would like to do this week, or challenge you to do this week. Live it out. This is the action step. Pray about God pushing you out of your comfort zone. What is God calling you to do? Maybe it's something uncomfortable. Maybe it's something you've never done before. Maybe God's going to push you or challenge you to make a step of faith of giving in a way that you've never given before, to start tithing. Maybe it's a matter of getting involved and you say, I'm not that person or I'm not good enough, and God's pushing you to take a step that's a little uncomfortable. Maybe it's doing an act of kindness for somebody that you've never done anything for that person. Knock on that neighbor's door, but taking a step of faith. You might not have it all figured out and it might be uncomfortable, but that is what faith is. Knowing what God is and everything that God is and living it out in our lives. Let's live out faith. Let's keep growing together as we obey God's word.